YouTube, it's me, Bergie, and I'm here with a library book haul. Now, this is the first video I am filming in months, but I think you guys will have seen a couple of other videos before. But I just wanted to say that one, am rusty, if you could not tell already, and two, I'm only planning on doing library book hauls from now until the foreseeable future, because as I mentioned in a different video, which I don't know again how it falls in comparison to this, I'm not very much a fan of regular book buying hauls. It doesn't sit well with me, because I do kind of see it as a flaunting of excess cash that you have the ability to spend on books, which, don't get me wrong, of the things that you could spend your money on, books are a good thing, but I just feel like within the booktube community it is getting a little bit excessive, and I don't want to add to that and make people who are maybe less fortunate unable to buy all of those books or as many books as other booktubers are doing. And I'm also strapped for cash. I'm currently without a job. I'm job searching, but I'm without a job, so I have no funds coming in. So I'm definitely going to be utilizing my local library, which I do anyway, but I'm definitely gonna be doing it now because don't have the money to get all the books that I would like to get. And right now, the only books I'll be getting are ones that I really want, and those are very few. But anyway, I digress. Let's get into the library book haul. This first book is by an author that you will be seeing a lot of within the next couple of months because I'm obsessed with her writing. And the final book in her Diviner series is coming out, so I'll be scooping that up. That is definitely a book I'll be buying because I am so obsessed with that series, and like I said, I'll be talking about her and that series constantly, so I apologize in advance. But anyway, her other series, the Gemma Doyle series, which came out in, I want to say, the 2012s, or around then. This is her previous series to the Diviners. I don't know if I said, but the author's Libba Bray, if you could not guess. But yeah, I picked up this second book in this series because I read, I don't even remember what the first book is called. Great and Terrible Beauty? Yes, that's the first book. I read that years ago, and that was actually my first series by Libba Bray. I had read a Libba Bray before, Beauty Queens, and really enjoyed that. It's a Lord of the Flies retelling featuring females. I love that. I decided to pick up the Diviners. I read that, and I decided to then pick up A Great and Terrible Beauty because that was her previous series again. That kind of was popular in the early 2010s, and I missed that train completely. So after becoming obsessed with the Diviners series, I'm like, I need more Libba Bray. This is another similar paranormal fantasy story, so let's see how it is. The first book was good. I read that again in like 2017 or something, so it's been a while. And then with my resurgence of Libba Bray obsession, I finally got the second book, and oh my goodness, I did not remember liking this series as much as I am liking it, or I didn't know that I liked the first book as much. The second book, though, I was captivated. I read this 500+ page book in like 3 or 4 days, which is kind of impressive for me when I've been busy with other stuff. But anyway, so this is a paranormal fantasy series that is set in the late 1800s, I want to say around 1890 in London. It is very similar to her Diviner series because it is a historical paranormal fantasy that features female characters. And I will say a lot of the character traits, plot devices, and that kind of stuff from this series is also evident in the Diviners, which would normally annoy me because it is so similar. But for one, she definitely builds on this a lot better in her Diviners series. She definitely becomes a better writer and better with her characterization and all of that. but it's still enjoyable enough in this series, so I'm definitely going to be picking up the third and final book in this series. But yeah, I got this one. Another author that you'll be seeing or hearing me talk about a lot is Agatha Christie, because in 2017 again, I started reading her novels in publication order, and even though I didn't continue right away, I want to make it a priority to continue reading her novels because she is just a great mystery writer. I mean, she's the queen of mystery, I feel like. So I definitely want to get through more of her books, and I've been finding that reading her books between bigger fantasy books like this one really breaks it up nicely for me and kind of revitalizes me to pick up more fantasy books. So in this library book haul, I have 3 books from her, and I think I'm going to try to do it that way. I'm going to try to pick up 3 books of hers at a time because, I don't know, I really liked having her books at hand to read in between other books. So the first one I have is The Secret of Chimneys, which is not a Perrault or Tommy and Twopence book. It's within its own, I think it's within a series. It might actually be a standalone. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, this is not connected with her other more well-known detective series. Yeah, so this one is set first in South Africa, but then the main character goes to England, back to London, to deal with some issue that his friend brought up. And yeah, I read this one a while ago, so I don't really remember it as much, and because it's not like a Hercule Poirot book, I wasn't as great at remembering everything that happened in this, obviously, but it was still good. I'll talk about it more in one of my wrap-ups, but that was a good one. Then I have The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which is a Hercule Poirot book, and I actually mistakenly skipped a Poirot book, so I'll have to go back and read that. But this one was really interesting. I won't go into the plot much because it is very, very interesting, and you definitely have to go into it without knowing much. But basically, like other Hercule Poirot books, there is a death, and in a very coincidental manner, Hercule Poirot becomes encircled, or he is brought into the mystery to help solve it. And the plot twist in this, just damn. My one friend who's a really big Agatha Christie fan said that this is in her top 3 Agatha Christie books, and I can definitely see why. It was really, really different. And then the last Agatha Christie I have is The Big Four, which is again another Hercule Poirot book. This one was really interesting because it was set over a longer period of time, and I feel like there was more traveling in this than the other books, and that was really interesting to see. And we kind of see actually a previous character come back, which was really nice. But yeah, again with these 3 Agatha Christie books, I don't want to give too much because it is a mystery and I don't want to spoil it. I really think that going into these without knowing anything is the best idea. But yeah, so I got these 3 Agatha Christie books and already read them, so you'll see them again. Now, the rest of the books are kind of a mishmash of different things. The first one here is the lost novel Paris in the 20th Century by Jules Verne. This is his dystopian novel that was published posthumously. I think it was by his son, but it was published by some descendant in 1994. It was written in the early 1800s. I want to say 1801, but that might be wrong. But anyway, I read this because it was on my list of dystopian novels, but with all of the other earlier ones that I've read, it's more of a socio-political commentary rather than a true dystopian. And it was really interesting to read because this was written by Jules Verne, who is French, so it kind of had a different perspective than all of the British or American or Russian dystopians that I've read. So it was really interesting. I do plan on hopefully making a series of videos about dystopians finally. I need to hold myself to it because I've been promising that since I started my booktube channel in 2013, so I really need to get on that. But yeah, I'm glad to have gotten this one under my belt. And also, this is my first Jules Verne, which I think is a weird place to start with him. I feel like more people read Journey to the Center of the Earth, or what are the other ones? 1,000 Leagues Under the Sea or something like that. I think I butchered that title, but there are other popular books that I'm sure people read first. And even though this is not one of them, I'm glad I got a taste for his writing. I'd definitely be interested in reading more by him, so that was good. And I was glad to get a short dystopian under my belt, because most of them are relatively long, so having this one to read quite quickly was good. Okay, so the next two books are a continuation of a series that I started in 2019, and that is Underworld and Awaken by Meg Cabot. Her first book in this series, I'm forgetting it at the moment, but basically, Abandon is the first book. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling that I initially picked up because of my whole Greek-related book reading I did last March. And I was like, might as well continue it now and see how I feel, to see if I want to recommend this to you guys for Greek reading in March, which I plan on doing again. But unfortunately, I have already read this and decided I do not like them very much. I don't know if I was just in the right headspace when I read the first book or what, but I did not like these. These were written in around, I think 2010 to 2013 is when the 3 books were published, and it just, the writing doesn't uphold to now, unfortunately. But I'm not saying they're awful, they're just not as great as I remember the first one being. But yeah, basically this is a Hades and Persephone retelling set in modern day, primarily in Florida, or rather on an island off the coast of Florida. So yeah, just not much to say other than Hades and Persephone retelling, not the best. Another book I picked up was Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. This has been a series that has been very much applauded on BookTube, and I primarily picked it up because it was short. I wanted to try to reach my 2019 Goodreads goal. Didn't, by the way. But I wanted to add little books that I can read really quickly. Unfortunately, this isn't a wrap up, so I shouldn't be telling you what I felt like. But unfortunately, I didn't like it as much as everyone on BookTube does. But if you don't know, this is a portal fantasy series that starts off with this first book, where we find a character being brought to a school for people who have gone through portal worlds and have come back and are really pissed off that they are not in their perfect world anymore. There is a murder mystery in this, which a lot of people, they don't like this because of the murder mystery aspect, and I kind of agree. It was just weird when this is being kind of told, not told, but like it's, the reason why I feel like a lot of people pick this up is because it's part of a portal fantasy series, and that aspect is cool, and there really isn't a lot of portal fantasy-ness in this first book. So I do plan on getting the second book to see how that feels, but yeah, I just wasn't impressed by this first one. Another book I was not impressed by, but again, this is not a wrap up, this is just me telling you guys the books that I borrowed from the library anyway, is The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi. I had put this on my most anticipated releases of 2019, and I finally got to it after the year's over. The reason why I wanted to pick this up is because I heard someone on BookTube say that this was kind of like Dan Brown's Angels and Demons series, or the Da Vinci Code, but a better YA version, and I was like, sure, it's gonna be better than the Da Vinci Code, especially because it's a YA book, which, not to diss or hate on YA books, but I was like, it's not going to be as good because it needs to be an adult series if it's going to have those kind of like conspiracy theory, important artifact kind of storyline. And this was also compared to a heist novel like Six of Crows. I have not read that, so I don't have that as a point of comparison. But yeah, so this is a heist that has to do with artifacts that are kind of conspiracy-esque, like the Da Vinci Code. And yeah, finally picked it up. Spoiler alert, did not like it. Don't think I'll be reading anything else by Roshani Chokshi, which I'll talk about in a separate video because I have a lot of thoughts. Now, the other 3 books I have not finished and read, so I don't really have much to say about them. The first one is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow. As you can see, I have started it, but I'm not far enough to give like a full synopsis. I picked this up because I want to get more into middle grade books. Apart from the obvious like Percy Jackson or any Rick Riordan book, I'm not keeping up with middle grade fantasy very well, and I do love fantasy middle grades. I feel like there's a whole good level of magic to them because it is intended for younger kids. And I kind of want to get back into that, so I thought, oh, let's get this. This has been talked about by any middle grade reader on BookTube, so I thought, let's try it out. So far, what I'm feeling is that it is quite similar to Harry Potter. I know a lot of people, when they do compare this to Harry Potter, they compare just the feel of it to Harry Potter, but I am kind of seeing some plot elements and characters that are kind of similar to Harry Potter, not exact like dupes or anything of them, but enough where I'm like, yeah, I can see the inspiration of Harry Potter to this. But anyway, this is about a young girl named Morgan Crow who is cursed with just bad luck. Anything bad that happens in her vicinity at all is blamed on her, and she is destined to die on her 11th birthday or at midnight on Eventide. But she gets swept away before that happens, fortunately enough for us, and is whisked away to an unknown world called Nevermore. And that's pretty much up to where I'm at in the book, so I don't know what else will be going on or what the kind of like bad guy is for this, because I'm guessing there will be some kind of bad guy situation that is driving the plot, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. But I am enjoying this right now, tentatively. We'll see how I feel about it when I finish it. Now, the last 2 books are both by the same author, an author that I want to actually start getting into because I've heard Jean's Bookish Thoughts talk about this author a lot, and I'm like, I finally want to get into her books. And that is Juliette Marillier. I have Daughter of the Forest and Son of the Shadows, which is the first 2 books in her Daughter of the Forest, or Seven Waters series. This says it's a trilogy, but I think there's like 5 books in this series, so I don't know if it was intended as a trilogy beforehand and it just kept on going or what. But yeah, so I picked up the first 2 books in this series, haven't gotten to them yet. I have no idea what this is about, other than the fact that I think this is a generational story or series set in Ireland. I think that's what this one is. I'm not sure. But Jean has been obsessed with Juliette Marillier, and it's gotten to the point where I kind of want to see how I feel towards this author. And I also want to read more fantasy by female authors. Actually, funnily enough, I think all of these books, except for the Jules Verne one, were written by female authors, which is pretty good because usually I find my split being 50-50, and right now it's all female authors, which is great. But yeah, those are all of the books that I borrowed from my library this time. Because I've read most of them already, they will be returned very soon, and I will be taking more books out from the library at that point. So you'll probably see another library book haul soon. But I hope you enjoyed this video. These are all the books that I've read or plan on reading in the near future. So just in case you wanted to know what videos or books I'll be talking about in the near future, those are the books that will be present, I guess. Yeah, please excuse my talking abilities and filming abilities. I have not filmed in a long time, so I'm kind of rusty again. But yeah, this video has gone on long enough. I will see you guys in the next video that I decide to post. So yeah, bye.